Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak to all. Ramadan is a month of compassion, a month of forgiveness, of giving, of coming together, and of course a month of empathy, generosity and restraint. Now this year in Malaysia, melting pot country, we are observing it alongside our friends who are celebrating Chinese New Year and those that are also observing Lent. But what happens when all of these festivities and observations combine? We're talking about waste and volumes that continue to rise during this period, where charitable giving is now challenged by the issue of waste. So today we reflect on how we give, why we give, and how we can give better. Joining me today is humanitarian and co-founder RADZI Jamaluddin from Pustaka Jalanan. Thank you and welcome to the nation. Ramadan Mubarak to you.
Waalaikumsalam, Ramadan Mubarak Karim, Ramadan Mubarak to you too.
Now, it's the first day of Ramadan, officially a month that a lot of us have been waiting with trepidation, with hope and anticipation. Now, this month is basically when people talk about generosity at its peak. And we're smiling because we were talking about this prior to the show. But what does it mean when we're talking about intention, and how do we match Niat, or the intention, with actual impact in doing good?
Well, for me, I will speak this on my personal capacity. Doing this, the Niat, and doing this, the charity work, work similarly with how we apply in business. I used to work with in Carrefour, where we apply this the right item for the right people at the right time and at the right place. So I think that should apply for charity giving as well. Niat must come along together with this motto just now.
Right place, right persons, right
time.
Way and right time.
Yes.
And I think that makes sense, because very often what we're seeing is Ramadan, while it teaches moderation and empathy, we see a lot of generous people giving, but perhaps maybe lacking in coordination.
Yes.
So how do we ensure that charitable giving actually affects those and carry these values that you're talking about?
It's kind of challenging, because when we talk about charity giving, it comes from many direction. Those who wanted to give based on the religion, the belief. Those who wanted to give based on the Niat or the legacy and all that. But I guess the whole idea of charity giving, it should be looked into on more structured, tactical, and also to do it based on actual needs and current needs.
Right.
So that's the big challenge.
The conversation today, and I know you're trying to be very guarded here, but the conversation today is not necessarily about being Muslim and observing Ramadan. I wanted to approach Ramadan in a way that is universal to everyone. When we're talking about giving, that spirit of giving, and you rightly pointed out, needs to match the needs. And what we're seeing, for example, from your humanitarian experience, what's the difference between well-intention and well-coordination? Because there are many people who are well-intending, but when it's not coordinated well, you're talking about copious amount of waste, you're talking about tidak sampai ke sasar. So share your thoughts, and feel free to share your actual thoughts.
I think for me, well-intention refers to having good and kind and helpful motive, but not necessarily well coordinated in terms of highly organized, data-driven, synchronized, coordinated and executed based on the actual and current needs. The challenge is for me is to prioritize balance and effectiveness.
Right. And I've seen this, you've done this over the years, where you would go to an undisclosed location and you would observe the affair of the whole night. And you're talking about upwards of 18 different groups giving out food aid, giving out clothes, giving out lots of Instagram photos as well, all in the same location for that same night. And at the end, you'd have a situation where DBKL will end up having to clean up the day after. Now, what might look like if we do this in a better coordinated way?
Well, the first thing first, the keyword is over buying, over preparing, and of course over giving. Because the thing is that this so-called charity thingy is not just about giving food to the homeless and all that, but also charity at home. When we cook too much, when we prepare too much. Back to the humanitarian principle, it's all about neutrality. Let me check. This is about neutrality. We talk about impartiality, independence. Me, whenever we work in our group, circle of friends, these are the sort of value that we imply, that we apply. Again, it's all data driven. It sound macam kata apa? Too structured, too rigid, but that's how charity should work.
And I think when you professionalize the field, when you're talking about understanding how we give in a more structured way, then it becomes a situation where the impact that we want, the good that we intend, actually reaches where it needs to go.
Yes.
You and I have seen this on the ground where, you know, you'd have a situation where the recipient or the beneficiaries are actually asking, can I have this instead of that? Or I've already received this 5 times tonight. Or can you give me something else? I don't like this baju, I want something else. Now that in itself tells me that there was access to begin with, not that we want to see people feel sad and impoverished, but that means the way in which we're giving is not actually reaching how we should really memartabatkan or respect the people that we're giving. So how can we respect our beneficiaries better?
For me, I think we romanticize this so much. The idea of, you know, giving with due respect, with due respect, giving to the gelandangan, by the street, putting all this nice photo to like and share, it's being over romanticized. We should remember that they are all human, that not every people who are in difficult situation wants people to know. It's important to, number one, to guard the privacy. If one thing I'm very, very concerned, it's about, you know, putting in the face of children in the Sokmed.
Yeah, what we're seeing online here are some of the photos taken in just one night, by the way. And it's a place that I think both of us have frequented over the years, and we see this happening almost daily during Ramadan, where there are a lot of people who want to do good, but as you can see, lots of photos also being taken, and of course people uploading their social medias and Instagram. So while of course this is, you know, to each his own, right? But what we're trying to say is there are children there are families there that, you know, have got difficult lives, that who don't necessarily want to be known, do not want to be identified, yet, you know, they are, I'm sure photos are being taken without consent, child protection policies are not being followed, and you're talking about a whole host of course, waste we're talking about, right? Now, when we're talking about food waste here, we're not only talking about makanan, right? We're also seeing packed foods, we're also seeing dry goods, we're also seeing clothes. What are some of the usual suspects in terms of things that always become filling the landfill during Ramadan and festivities? What are some of the major things that you see usually?
Well, number one, it will be food.
Yep.
Number two, clothing, which I always wonder, is this, I mean, to me, whenever we want to do this kind of stuff, giving the, as we mentioned, the clothes and some other stuff, the non-food, there is these two questions that we need to ask and answer ourselves.
That's a lot of clothes.
Are they needed and are they useful? What may be needed may not be useful, because, you know, by the time if we get something like 4 or 5 group people, 5 group giving the same item, giving the same clothing, they are needed but they're not useful. And we ended up, you know, becoming sarang for tikus, lipas and all that.
Yes.
Plus with all the leftover of the food.
So we're actually, unintended consequences, we're causing more work for the DBKL cleaners.
Yes.
We're also causing more harm to the community, because you're talking about food waste, you're talking about an increase in trash, you're talking about rodents. And I know that there has been quite a number of groups that have been doing soup kitchen work. A lot of them are doing really good sort of feed the hungry kind of work. Some are giving dry food items. We've got Kachara, we've got the Lost Food Project, we've got quite a few, you know, Pertiwi and all that. I miss Mama Munira. But when we're talking about all of these things that are happening, I do feel that the concentration in places where it's insta-worthy makes it means that there are other places that are not getting the attention that they need. It's not that we have aid everywhere. There are places that are not getting anything. Kita tertumpuk in one place.
To be fair, and we must congratulate BKL, they provided the platform, the venue for food distribution. And I still don't understand why we still have people, groups, who still giving out food at this non-designated location.
And they've designated locations to go.
At the designated. They could be like, we want to do it on our own. We don't want to, bergabung together with that group because the time is not aligned with our timing and all that. Or maybe, sorry to say this, ego issue.
You can say it.
So, we don't have law to regulate this, as I understand it. I mean, we have Akta Kutu Rayau, Akta Perlindungan Kanak-kanak, but when it comes to giving away food like this, there's no really, I don't know if there could be one, but as I know it, there's no particular law to govern this. And I always wonder, without any coordination, without any supervision, imagine tonight, if we have 20 groups giving out food, being the first day of Ramadan.
Your guess is as good as mine how many groups we're going to get tonight.
And then tomorrow, we may, nauzubillah lah, harap tak jadi. What if tomorrow we have 100 food poisoning cases from those who took the food tonight, So, how do we know which of the 20 that caused the food poisoning?
You brought up a very important point. I want to talk about this after, because you talked about food, but now you're also talking about food hygiene. Because if we're going to give something to someone, we don't want to cause them harm. But we're going to go for a quick break, and when we come back, let's talk to RADZI Jamaluddin from Persatuan Pustaka Jalanan on exactly how we can give better this Ramadan. Stay tuned.
Abang, jangan lupa asingkan sampah tu dulu tau.
Nak asing-asingkan sampah. Sampah sama je, good.
Abang, jangan lupa asingkan sampah tau.
Itulah, Abah. Tak asingkan sampah.
Patutlah kena asing.
Abah, asingkanlah semua ni. Tak asing lagi ni.
Masa untuk kita asingkan, bumi pun nak healing kan?
Seorang jurutera perunding dihadapkan ke Mahkamah Session Kuala Lumpur hari ini atas tuduhan menerima rasuah berhubung projek pembinaan Stadium Duta Perdana.
Saya sebenarnya ada benda saya nak laporkan, Tuan.
Laporkan jika anda mempunyai maklumat mengenai rasuah. Jangan biarkan rasa takut menghalang kerana anda dilindungi oleh Akta Perlindungan Pemberi Maklumat. Rasuah dihina, maruah dibina.
You're watching NADIAH, LATIF and RADZI Jamaluddin as we're talking about Ramadan and how do we give better. So RADZI, earlier you were talking about the fact that well-intentions not matched by coordination can actually lead more harm than good. And you mentioned food poisoning, which is something that we don't often talk about, especially during the month of Ramadan, where cooked food is given en masse to groups of people, perhaps with the lack of hygiene protocols. So perhaps could you share some of your experience of what you've seen on ground and what we can do better?
Well, Alhamdulillah, so far we don't have, I personally haven't seen any such cases. But being in the humanitarian field, we emphasize a lot on risk management. All that, what if. So these are the things that I always question every year. What if? It's just maybe, could it be this year? Could it be tonight? My advice, my suggestion for any groups, any clubs, anyone who wish to distribute food during the Ramadan especially, please do so at the designated food transit area. The one that I know very well is in Medan Tuanku. There's one over there. Talk to the BKL, engage them, ask for their opinion, ask for their suggestion. Otherwise, if the timing is not right, this is another challenge of doing sedekah charity ni. To put it in a blunt Malay word lah kan, jangan mati akal, jangan putus asa, jangan mati akal, jangan hilang punca. Remember, those who need food are not just the one that we thought yang famous dekat KL tu, I would not say tempat. But there are many places as far as, you know, the north, even the east. Let's be practical lah, rather than kita nak serve our godly feeling nak tolong orang. Why not we just share the resources that we have, even if it is money. I think the sedekah is sedekah. We don't have to be so taksub, you know, to like we have to be there to give this, the presents, the picture and all that. If we go to that extent, I think tak tahu lah. I don't know where the value.
There's also a feel-good factor, isn't it? So a lot of people talk about voluntourism, where you're volunteering and it's a good month. You want to be seen to be doing something. Perhaps you've already taken 15 photos before your first give out. And we've seen this and it does happen. We're not judging anyone in particular, but we're saying that if there is a need where the place that's hard to reach is probably better served in other means,
Yes.
you can still assist without you physically being present there, as long as you know that guardrails are there. So I want to pull that back, right? You've worked in disaster situations, you've worked in crisis preparedness, you've worked in hyper low resource settings. Yet aid is always focused on what is needed by the community, what respects the cultural context and understanding of the community, irrespective of whether they're Muslims or not, and you help with a coordinated system. So I want to ask, what are the systems and principles that we should be putting in place and in mind when we're assisting all across the country, doesn't matter whether it's Ramadan or not?
Okay, in a disaster setting, internationally speaking, and also in the conflict area, despite what many of you perceive as, you know, hati baik tolong, I've always said this to those who wish to be involved in humanitarian more seriously, hati kena kering.
Explain, hati kering. Explain it.
Hati kering, you know, put aside your feelings, get the job done. And the key success to any humanitarian mission goes down to discipline. You know, it's like I may not like you, you may not like me, but as far as we're concerned, we have to work together. In humanitarian setting, we work very much almost like a military type of protocol. Everything is being dictated. The discipline is very important. Like the recent place that I went to, there's a proper command center run by the official government entities, and everyone will being assigned. It's either by request or by assignment from the government. It's very clear. That will be humanitarian setting for disaster and
Sort of aid
crisis.
coordination.
Yeah, the aid coordination.
So would you see any of these aid coordination systems or principles being relevant for how we give out during Ramadan? I know that it's for the goodness of the heart and it's cleansing of the soul, but I do feel that if we're talking about mass coordination of aid, and do you think this is supposed to be something that people would just do because they want to do it, or should there be coordination perhaps with the municipal councils or state governments, or how would you see this doing in a more coordinated way across the country?
It's about discipline. I think it's about discipline and also someone to take charge. As of now, I think we've mentioned just now, there's no really any law to govern giving out food. In the absence of that, the keyword would be common sense lah. I've just got call from a company who wanted to do what we're talking about, which I declined. Which I propose to them, if you have this X amount of resources, money or ni, let's do something else beside giving out food to gelandangan. Or because it's difficult, you know, because we have difficulty to travel. So for me, if that's your kekangan, I can't help you much lah, because we are more beneficiary driven. Which must, kata orang tu, biar efficient. It goes to the right people at the right time and the right place.
Now, what about the coordination between the government, the corporates, the entrepreneurs? As you see here, favourite site during Ramadan, which is the Ramadan Bazaar. You've got kuih galore. My lovely non-Muslim friends will always tell me Ramadan is my best month because I get to sample all the kuehs and delicacies that I don't get to eat in other months, because that's the time when the Ramadan bazaar comes out, right?
Okay.
But that also means that we are going to be seeing not only waste that is given as alms, but also waste in produce that perhaps could be redirected in a better way. I think Malaysia has kind of toned down a bit on the 100 spread buffet which we used to see.
Yes.
But what about hotel waste? What about waste from bazaar Ramadans? Is there a way to redirect that so that it reaches where it can help people?
Interestingly, I think that in the last 2 or 3 years, there's this increased awareness on that. We have few NGOs. Some of my friends work with them or volunteer with them, who look after or who work on this the balance. I wouldn't say leftover lah kan, not nice. Who look over the balance from bazaar and redistribute back the meal. There was an app, if I'm not mistaken, it's called Remeal.
Remeal, yes.
Where you can buy the balance or whatever the remaining food at the discounted price, and also the Food Aid Foundation and all that, who works very well in terms of managing whatever the food balance, the leftover from the bazaar. But then there was this article I think I wanted to mention just now, quoting that these are the figures from SW Corps and Food Aid Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
During Ramadan, Malaysia dumps 3,000 tons of food every day.
3,000 tons of food every day.
3,000 tons of food every day. 15 to 20% increase over non-fasting month. So that particular month, because maybe we fasted too long, so we throw a lot of food as well. 85% of this garbage rots in landfills. This is interestingly. I think we have, in addressing these figures, we have to cut around to use very practical numbers. Put it another way, the excess could feed 2.2 million Malaysians daily.
2.2 Malaysians daily just on the waste that we produce from
Ramadan.
Giving.
During Ramadan.
MashaAllah, subhanallah. Okay, now that really tells us about us going kind of backtracking on what we should be doing. So while we are trying to be assisting, it's not maybe directed in the best way possible. I'm not saying that it's not directed in a good way, but we can do better. Right? So let's focus the last few minutes on what can we do better as individuals. You did say there isn't a law right now that governs how we give out charity aid.
Yep.
We understand that there are pockets in Malaysia that receive nothing, and then there are those that receive too much. So as individuals, if I'm interested to give tonight or tomorrow, what should I be doing better? What should I think about before I go out and sort of do this Insta-famous thing? Thoughts?
The best way, sedekah the money instead of the food.
Okay.
Give it to the credible NGOs. It's not fair for me to mention any names.
No, we don't have to mention any, yeah.
Okay, but try to take that step back of, rather than being visible and visual in our giving, just focus on the value itself. We don't need validation lah in sedekah. The best way of, I always say, the best form of sedekah is giving money to the right NGOs who will deliver it based on proper planning, based on systematic process, based on structured way of doing things.
You've just brought us back to the spirit of Ramadan, that if we are going to inspire a lasting change, that shift has to start from us. And that shift has to start from us questioning ourselves, am I giving this for optics? Or am I giving this because I believe that this is something that they need? Or am I giving this because I know that this is something that is the best of my intention to do good, and while trying to achieve good?
That's the thing, to find the right. I think you know me, that I'm like holding a lot of things. Why only Ramadan? As if it's only Ramadan that people don't have food to eat, is it?
No, absolutely true.
So why this waste happen in the holy month where we should exercise moderation and kindness? Why?
Wonderful, Radhi. You've just helped me summarize that, moderation and kindness. When we talk about Ramadan, it's not only about just giving more, it's about moderation, it's about consistency. Rasulullah ﷺ also talked about the fact that being small and consistent throughout Ramadan is better than big acts of faith and then just tapering off after. So we know that it is not a sprint, It is actually a discipline that we want to carry out during the month of Ramadan, hopefully to be undertaken throughout the rest of the year. So when intention is matched with mindfulness, even the smallest act of giving can go a long way. Thank you so much, RADZI, for joining us, and to all, stay safe and be kind. Ramadan Mubarak to you all.